Good morning, everybody. I see some smiles, so I see that we are being heard, so that's great. Good morning, it's October 2nd at 9:02 a.m. So thank you for your patience this morning. And I think we're just gonna go ahead and get into our meeting today. So I'm gonna start with introductions, and I'm actually gonna start over here with Sarah, and then we're gonna go around through this way.
Okay, great. Good morning. My name is Sarah Absher. I'm the Director of Community Development.
Good morning, Dave Bennett, South County Representative.
Morning, Chris Wells, Development Committee, member at large.
Morning, Carla Link. I represent the nonprofits.
Great. Carrie Fleischer, Chair of the Commission and Member at Large.
Mark Kessler, North County Rep.
And then we did invite our guest in to fill the seat this morning, and then I will turn to the commissioners online. So hang with us.
Rich Brackey, local.
Lisa McCray, Elder Ridge.
Ralph McCray, Alder Ridge.
And I'm Jessica Stroh, and I'm from Wheeler.
Great. And let's start online with Parker.
Good morning. My name is Parker Sammons. I'm the Tillamook County Housing Coordinator.
Commissioner Scar.
Good morning, Erin Scar, Tillamook County Commissioner.
Nan.
You're mute.
You're muted, Nan.
For
Okay.
temporary talking, I like to hit the space bar, Nan.
Thank you, Briar. Okay, Gail.
Gail Uzell, Member at Large, South County.
Briar, do you want to formally introduce yourself?
Yeah, Briar Smith, a nonprofit. Tillamook County Habitat for Humanity.
Megan.
Good morning, Megan Carpenter, City of Tillamook Representative.
And we have two other guests on the line. So Will.
Well, Chapel from Tillamook Headlight Herald.
Good morning. And city planner, I believe that's from Rockaway.
Apologies, I still haven't figured out how to change that, but my name is Abram Tapia. I'm the city planner for Rockaway Beach.
Good morning. Well, welcome everybody. And I am going to pass this over to Mark for our mission minute.
Yeah, so we take a minute or two at the beginning of each meeting for people to bring up things that aren't necessarily on the agenda or have happened recently. Are there any mission minutes?
I have one I want to share with everybody over at CARE. We will be having a ribbon cutting ceremony on Friday, October 10th from noon to 4. The actual ribbon cutting event hosted with the chamber is at 1 o'clock. And that is to celebrate the opening of our shelter, which we call the West Village, and as well as our night by night shelter, which we call the Anchor. And what that means for our community is CARE will have the capacity increase from 10 beds to 34 beds for those individuals in our community that need shelter.
I have one, so we broke ground on our tiny house cluster in town. As far as I know, it's the first set of 4 on a lot being built, so foundations are going in, under plumbing's done, and we'll be moving forward on those.
That's terrific.
Where's that located?
Some thumbs up and some claps.
It's here in Tillamook. Chris, where is it located?
It's over on 4th Street by the hospital.
Oh, that long.
So, and then we're hopefully getting close on permit process for the 2nd Street apartments upstairs. Sprinkler systems, I think, are our last hurdle, and that's being designed at the moment. So hopefully starting the framing of those apartments by end of October.
Terrific. Awesome.
I did want to include that I'm going to send a flyer to this group of our event. I meant to bring some today, but I got caught up at a Stevie Nicks concert last night. Didn't make it to the office for.
Yeah, for sure.
But I will send that after following this meeting, a flyer attachment, if you'd like to post up in your place of business or just join us, that'd be great. You can-
I also have a mission minute. This is something that happened a while ago, but I guess I didn't think it got shared out. Maybe it's because it was a project that was supported before my time. But the Schumann apartments in Wheeler have been 100% rented up for about a year now, and I just wanted to share that with you because I don't think that information got out. So
Great. I guess we are moving on to public comment. Is there any members of the public that would like to make comment this morning? None in the room? All right. Well, you will have another opportunity at the end of our meeting if you'd like to do so. So I know Parker's on a limited time schedule this morning, so we are gonna toss this over to the housing coordinator report, Parker.
thank you, Carrie. All right. So it has been an exciting month and will be an exciting month. October 15th, we will open our Housing Production Solutions Fund. I've been working on the intake for that, and I'll share that in a little bit. And next month, I believe that we'll be going over the new criteria-based scoring and making sure that everybody is very clear on how that will function and what everybody's roles will be. Other exciting news is that CERTA, this is the DEQ EPA program that we have talked a lot about, as it has had a rich history from beginning to now. But I am leaving this meeting early to go to the kickoff meeting for the CERTA program with the other cities who are part of that program. We will also, I'm expecting to receive the promotional materials for CERTA at that time, which will really be able to let us kick off our outreach drive to make sure that people are aware of this program and how to connect with me and the technical advisors who will be walking applicants through that program, which is great that they have resources for us to help guide people and make sure their project is eligible, because it is that rebate that comes at the end of a project that they receive at occupancy. And so it's one that you really want to make sure your application is tidy and everything so that you don't get to the end and have something be wrong. So that's really exciting to get that out. After that, next week, I'll be meeting with the technical advisors who will walk me through understanding how and what will exactly eligibility requirements will be. And then I'll be able to also assist in that as I guide people to the DEQ technical advisors. I think the most exciting updates are definitely around MERL this month. We were able to, with the help of a lot of staff and time, and just I'm so appreciative of everybody who helped get the MERL resolution passed. I believe that we now have we have now initiated the process of developing the master agreement with OHCS, and we are at this point set to launch that program sometime near the end of the month. But it is, dates are still moving a little bit as that one all comes together. An exciting part of this is that the cities in our county will be able to very easily participate in our MERL program. So they will just need to pass a resolution to attach themselves to ours, which will really quickly expand the applicability of MERL to other projects, which is good because I know that we are having a conversation later about Habitat's project in Bay City, and if it's possible for a MERL to be applied for that project, which means that we'll have 3 projects pretty much immediately applying for MERL that are all nonprofits, which is great to see. I attended a couple of conferences, as did many housing commissioners this month. I filled in for Aaron because Aaron got tapped for another panel up in Seaside at the Oregon Infrastructure Summit. And that was a really great time to meet some of the HAPO folks in that office who's really spun up. It was great to finally connect with them in person. You spend a lot of time with people as a square on your screen, and then you get to meet them in person. And that's when the real work begins, in my opinion. So that was a really great conference. It was really about the panel I was asked to talk about was private-public partnerships, and I shared all of the work that the Housing Commission has done to work with local employers and organizations to get involved with housing production and other ways to meet the housing needs in the community. Later on, we are going to have a more of an update about the Colpack conference. There are several housing commissioners there, and I will leave it to them to update you on how well that went. One of the interesting things I learned about at the Seaside Conference is the other workforce housing nonprofit development that has been started in Oregon. There are two, and they are different in function and structure. One is the city of, I believe, Coos Bay, who has established one with the city at the helm. We have one with the developers on the helm, the Oregon Coast Housing Group, which has received its determination letter and is now a fully fledged 501c3 nonprofit. Finally, next month's meeting, over the next month, I will be taking the two housing needs analysis that we have, the 2019 and the 2025, and I'll be developing a report calling out key differences, things that have changed from 2019 to 2025, and what we can take from that data and make it actionable, and what we've learned and how we're going to use it. So stay tuned for that at our next meeting. And those are my updates for the Housing Coordinator Report, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Parker, this is Dave. Any updates on the raw property report?
I'll let Director Absher answer that question if that's all right.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Dave, for asking. We are still waiting for the remaining items of the scope of work for that report. There were several of us that met with Biohabitat early in September, followed up with an email and have not heard back from them. So there are a couple of steps that the county will be taking to make sure that we complete or that we get either compensation for those portions of the scope of work not completed, or that those items be furnished in the report to the county in the coming weeks. Chris Kiola, who is our on-site environmental program manager, has actually been helping to collect and compile the report with the consultant, which was not something that we anticipated. But the good news is that if we do step away from the report, take the data that's relevant, we in-house can finish providing the Housing Commission with the information you're looking for. So I should have a directional update for you next month in terms of we have the information coming and the report will be complete, or staff will complete those pieces of the report. And the cool thing about that is I can bring my staff here and we can present that to you. So just giving them a little bit of space to finish their part of the contract and have some paths to figure out how we wrap that up here by the end of this month. Thank you for asking.
I think there's no other questions in the room. Parker, do you want to go ahead and take us through the Housing Production Solution Fund?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. So just like last year, I've developed a Microsoft form. This is available on the website if anybody wants to download a PDF version of it. And in the room, I believe that you should have a handout. Many of these questions are the same as they ever have been, but we have added a few items that the Finance Committee identified as information that would be pertinent to a decision for the Housing Commission. As you go through, you might be able to pull these out, but this is one: has the project used any public money? And if it has, we'd like a brief description of how they have used the public money so far. Other details include really diving down and making sure that developers understand the importance of having their land use and zoning verification in place before applying for a housing fund. We really don't want to be in a position where somebody is applying for money for a project that can't actually be done. So we're taking steps just to make sure that groups who are applying really understand. And that's why you'll see a couple of these zoning verified and land use. And Sarah has given me some feedback on this already to make sure that we really button that up. Another item that I believe all the housing commissioners really wanted to see was the price per unit of the projects. That has some ability for us to make a determination, but we need to remember that every project's going to have different challenges, different sites, et cetera, and that affordable housing often goes in on some of the more difficult places to build because it is the remaining land in many cases. And so the price per unit will be informative, but it will not be a holistic way to judge a project. Beyond that, we continue to ask about affordability terms, finding out how many units they are going to have at what AMI level, making sure that they have access to help for their development pro formas and whatnot. Many of the questions you see when there is a unsure button or a no, I require assistance, both of those will trigger me to contact the applicant and see if there's anything I can do to help to get those questions answered very clearly so that when they do come to the Housing Commission, they are ready to really explain and show their work. We're really trying to make sure that this can be applicable to small and large scale developers. And then again, making sure that they know that they need to present between these times on our date, which is the February Housing Commission meeting. And let me see if I can make these a little bigger. And then finally, as always, I ask for feedback in the application to make sure that we are doing good. So far, I've only received one negative mark on these, and I was unable to follow up with the person because the contact information they provided did not get to them. But otherwise, I think that we have a very good intake form. And if anybody has any questions, comments, this is your last time to put another question that you would like to see in the intake. And so if there's anything else you guys can think of, I'd like to hear it.
We still gonna try to do all of the in-person and virtual meeting on one day?
The plan right now is to do that, but Chris, if we start getting a lot more applicants, then I will talk with you guys about that. I will keep the Housing Commission appraised, and if we exceed 10 applicants, I think that we will definitely have to break it up into multiple days, or maybe we will have to have a conversation on the best way to hear them. But we will maintain the hybrid schedule. It is the best way to make sure we have maximum accessibility for everybody.
They now think we're laughing.
We are.
The TV turned off, Parker. We're waiting. It did its usual thing, so we're waiting for it to come back on. And I just wanted to reassure everyone that folks online can see us in the room and there's no disconnection of engagement.
I'm sorry you're missing our beautiful faces. I do like being a disembodied voice occasionally. Happy Halloween, everybody.
Parker, this is Dave. Question for you regarding the development pro forma. Is that still required of an applicant?
Yeah, I think, we toyed with standardizing that, presenting one for them to fill out. But as we've moved to the criteria-based evaluation, I think just letting the developer submit their development pro forma in whatever format they want will be something that we can include for the housing commissioners to review, but it will be less about trying to create a format for them to fit into our scoring card and more just become an additional tool for us to help evaluate and understand the project.
Let's see, at one time we had kind of a standard pro forma that some might find useful if they're not, don't have experience putting pro formas together. I like the idea of having pro formas that are similar in format. It's much easier to compare projected revenues and expenses for each of these projects. I would prefer to see kind of a pro forma example anyway that people could use to fill out. That might be helpful to some.
Sure, and we do have that, pre-made one that we had last year. I can offer it up there. But why don't we kind of review that in the finance committee meeting this month and see if we can't improve that pro forma to be very simple, very accessible, and very standard? How does that sound?
Okay,
And I'm happy to put that up there now as a tool, the one that we do have.
I'm not seeing anybody else having feedback for you, Parker. Is there a deadline if we think of something going forward?
Today.
Yeah,
Just today.
regarding the intake, if anybody has any feedback, you can, if you're in the room, you can like make some notes and just hand that to Sarah, and I will update it. If you're online, you can download it and send me an email. I'd like to have all of those feedbacks in by October 14th because this will go live on the 15th. So that would be the timeline for any feedback. And I'm certain Kristen is going to find a spelling or grammatical error in there somewhere. So I'll wait for her email as well.
Parker, if I may, my suggestion would be the 10th, because I believe you and I have a lot of prior commitments on the 13th and 14th.
Thank you.
So would you prefer the 10th instead? I'm just thinking about our schedules.
Yes, thank you very much for reminding me of that. The 10th would be the correct day to have any feedback to us.
Great.
Well, if there's no more questions, I'd like to introduce our next presentation, if that's all right, very quickly.
Please do.
Ralph and Lisa McCrae are here to give a presentation and update about their project. This is something the Housing Commission has been talking about, which is inviting the projects that we have supported to come and provide an update and share, how the public funds that have supported their project have been able to move it forward. And so I'm really excited to have them share where they're at. This project has grown in so many ways and has involved so many people at this point. It's really become a community effort, and I'm really excited for them to share.
Thank you, Parker.
Thanks, Parker.
So first and foremost, we want to say thank you to the Housing Commission. We have been working diligently with the DEQ built environments, as well as the city of Bay City. And without the support of those three groups, we wouldn't be where we are today. We are so grateful. Ralph and I came into this having little to no understanding.
We had an idea.
It was exactly. And so we have been guided by some great people who support what we're doing and what we're trying to bring to the community. So what we'd like to do is go ahead and go through that and share with you. So the next slide, please. The next one. There we go.
So just a quick background. I think most of you guys have heard me blather on about history, family history, that kind of stuff. But the property that we're working on right now was a business that was developed out of a garage in Garibaldi. My dad was an entrepreneur, probably knew that by the time he was in 8th grade, and just kept trying to come up with a way to make that happen. Ultimately, it became the brush factory.
1956.
Yeah, and in 1955, probably in the garage, and
Right,
we've
but
got,
the property was
yeah, the
purchased.
property was, we started making things in Bay City in 1956. As this picture kind of shows, there's generations of Tillamook County residents in there. And it has been a community effort, in my opinion, the whole time, and would like to continue that. We gained traction in the business, specifically the paintbrush handles, simply because grandma demanded that dad and grandpa go have a conversation with Pretty Brush and just get out and talk to somebody. And that's kind of where we're at here. We see this as a continuing conversation, and boy, has it expanded. Like Parker said, the connections have been
awesome. So we stopped producing handles in 2019 and have actively been trying to find the solution since. And housing has become one of those big North Stars that keeps drawing us forward.
We also wanted to keep it as a community asset because, you know, businesses help build communities. And so we want to continue that growth and create opportunities for new folks coming up and who are looking for an opportunity. So next, our goals. We have been tied into a number of different organizations. But what we'd like for you to understand most importantly about us is that we want community within a community. We want people to be able to walk to work if that's what they choose to do. We would like to have maker spaces potentially. We'd like to maybe do winter markets. There's all kinds of ideas that we have. But it's about creating a connection. We're all disconnected from each other these days. And so in our plan, we could have put in many more units. We had one planner put us at 118. And we had a engagement, and Ralph and I, of course, don't want to do 118 units. That's just too much for this site, we feel. Yeah. We want it to be open space. We want people to be able to walk and engage with one another, and certainly to get out and get some exercise. So we've created that. We wanted it to be sustainable and enduring. As this property has been since 1956 and through the ownership of the McRae's. And multi-generational. So you'll see as we go through this that the master plan hasn't been completed. But we're looking at doing a cottage cluster, and we'll show you that as we go on. And what we'd like that to be is a senior cottage cluster. We feel and have talked to many people who have said, you know, I wish my mom had a place to live. There's no place for her to live. So if she downsizes, then of course that frees up that house for a family. So for us, that's what we're trying. It's holistic. It's not just a house or an apartment. It is a community, and that's how we're engaging in this project.
So and the other, I guess, key goal is we want to maintain a level of innovation. What is it? Necessity is the mother of invention. Paintbrush handles weren't on our radar, and so there was a whole lot of adapting. The housing solution, the idea, this wasn't on our radar before, and it has become a learning process. And again, we've seen a lot of innovation from just partners, people giving us ideas, helping us with paths that we have to explore. And so the idea of innovation is driven by, it's not just housing, you know, it is that community. It is an entrepreneurial spirit where somebody can grow out of the garage or the little storage space that they have, that they can start building their dream of a business or teach their kids something. So there's this entrepreneurial spirit to what we're trying to bring to the property. In that, you know, there's possibility for trades education, skill building. That would be just a dream for me to be able to see continuation of skills growth from high school kids to adults growing up. And, you know, they don't have to leave the community because they can't find jobs. They leave the community because they want to explore the world, but they have the skills to go wherever they need to go, whether that's here or someplace else. And then using technology to its fullest. Sometimes, as we can see, when screens go black, technology is great, except when it's not. But we want to be able to stay ahead of the curve so that people can keep growing and keep living a fulfilling, beautiful life.
And so the updates, that's this month, here's where we are. We've completed the geohazard. We've completed the survey. We have removed the trees that were blocking the view of the bay. So we've got those removed, which it's amazing how open that is now. We had our community engagement session, and that was really, really interesting. We had 40 people in attendance, and we were stunned. We were thrilled. We had that many, surprised, but it was terrific. And it was Salazar is the company who did our master plan for us. And they actually did the community engagement session. And so we were in the room, but we were removed from having any conversation with the folks. And so what we learned things that we didn't really realize, and what was exciting for us, and we'll share this in a little bit, but what was exciting for us was the community was on the same page. We were all going in the same direction. And that's what we were wanting to understand and make sure we were meeting the needs of our community. And then the master plan is very close to completion. We do have a couple of the photos that are on here that say draft. So that's why they haven't completely wrapped it up just yet. But yeah, so we've been busy.
Yeah, and currently underway, we're exploring possibilities in the production side of housing. So again, not just put up 118 units of places to live, but can we bring some employment? Don't know if it's possible or not, but we're exploring everything we can. That includes working with mass timber entities, I guess is the best way to say it. Looking into flat pack homes, we're looking at putting in commissary kitchens on site. If we can get multiple in there, we can get people being able to walk to get some cool Greek food or something different. Exploring possibilities of being an entrepreneur that way, and then continuing education. Had some great interaction with the community college and the schools that I think could help drive this whole process forward.
Yeah, and with the schools, with the CTE, we've been working really closely with Tyler Reed out in Neocani, who is a wonderful human being.
Champion.
And, yeah, he is a champion, and he wants to see this happen. And we'd like to have all 3 school districts somehow or another. But, again, this is all we're trying to develop. And we've got people who want to jump in and do this with us. So we're still trying to find our way with that, but that would be a real goal that we would have. So then the other thing I'd like to mention is the commissary kitchens. We've actually turned in, we're in the final permitting stage right now. And hopefully, I'm hoping maybe by November 1st that we would start construction on those. And this is separate from the housing. But what, again, we saw was an entrepreneurial opportunity that food is going to be a major resource that we need to address. And so we saw that as there are people out there that want to do this business, but don't have the access to a commissary kitchen, which is necessary if you're a caterer or if you're a food truck. So we wanted to be able to offer this to our community. The next thing that we have is civil engineering, the groundwork. And we have on here Idea Housing Partner. As Ralph was saying, we have toured a number of facilities over the last couple of months of people who are doing differently than, so it'd be a factory, if you will, factory built home, but would it be through panels or a modular build? So we're looking into all of those possibilities and having a partner come into our 26,000 square foot building and being able to, this is where we could do our trades, CTE. So hopefully maybe somebody with plumbing and electrical and those types of things. So, and that's what, so we're working on that quite a bit, but, and then, then we go into the next phase of development once we get that completed.
Okay, and it's kind of an updated picture from the last time you guys saw it here. For clarity, the properties that we're working with are basically everything inside the red line. The eastern high intensity zone, which is the blue cube there, it actually includes a neighbor's property. So ours is the kind of jagged edge of what we're talking about, which is a mix of high intensity and medium intensity zones. But again, this is an overview basically from Williams to McCoy, Bewley and 16th Street. So yeah, good feedback. Okay, so like Lisa said, Salazar helped us immensely with a engaging engagement where they actually had people putting dots on things and finding what their priorities were, what could go where. It was really fun to watch. And the top 5 of the 20 keys that they came up with starts out with connecting nature and design. So not just having big blocks of built stuff, but blending it together. They encourage the space that promotes well-being. Again, whether it's walking paths or, climbing walls or other physical things that give people a chance to breathe some fresh air, get out and about and connect. Another really, I think, engaging thing to see was the place for all ages, so playgrounds, abilities, disabilities, young, old, there was a demand for connection. Like, same connection, I wonder why. Then supporting the environment, so having it built in a way that is back to sustainable and good stewardship. And then finally, something that feels safe and secure. And we thought these were really powerful messages from our neighbors.
So on the next page, you will see, this is, we're close to, so where you see the 4 townhouse buildings up there on top, you see where I'm pointing to? Yeah. So the next, so this will show you, this is our cottage cluster, so we'll come back to that, so.
Here is,
right.
We got a couple options.
And up there, you'll see that there's we've got a little outdoor amphitheater up there, so that green space. Yes, why don't you be our pointer?
And I think I'm going in the right spot.
Yeah, if you just follow me.
Yeah.
So like up here.
And the vision with this is that this will have this open space, and this is property that we own, and there's a seasonal stream that goes down there, and this could be a great opportunity for kids to get out and play in the woods and move around, and adults as well. So we really liked that idea. When we come to completion, we'll see, but I think that that's a great idea. We wanted a little amphitheater where kids could put on plays, or there could be somebody that come in there and sing, do outdoors during the summertime singing, or all different types of things.
We haven't heard a lot of requests for bagpipes, though.
Yeah, no, no, those have to stay in the building. Ralph does play bagpipes, by the way.
Not well,
It is
not
loud.
well.
It is loud. And then as we go down, so down at the bottom, Ralph, yeah, those are how, this is an interesting design that we were surprised about, but houses, a 1,300 square foot house with a 475 square foot ADU. So they can buy them together or buy them separate. So we could rent those, or, it just depends upon, we don't have prices yet. So obviously that's going to be the big deal, but that would be something where you could have multi-generational living as well. So we really like that a lot. Then yes, thank you, Ralph. Yeah, that's the walk-up. That's 16 one-bedroom units. And so we wanted to make sure we were trying to meet the need for workforce housing, which would be the 16 units is where people, so again, if they're working in the building, the large building, but literally walk to work. When we talked about the commissary kitchens, we're actually going to have a grab and go, which means somebody could be going in and, let's say, cooking German food, and they do a pop-up and they put it on Facebook, and people can just come and buy it. They can't sit and eat it there, but they can come and buy it. So this gives people opportunities to try and see what happens with, again, entrepreneurial. We want to make sure that happens. So there's also open space, Ralph, over there between the 2 buildings, between 7 and 1. Yeah. And so we feel that there's a lot of openness that could create movement, and people want to be outdoors. Any questions?
Do each of the units have their own parking?
Yes, they all have parking.
So I don't think you can see it in the printout, but so the access comes in, but this is actually parking that they had designed for both the park and here, but this is side-by-side parking on the townhomes, is that what they call it?
No, there's actually a garage on those.
There's a garage on that with one additional unit, if I remember.
Right.
And then each of these have what is it?
There's parking spots, there's a garage, and there's
And then-
parking on the street.
Off-street parking here.
Mhm.
So, and then on the apartments, there's enough for.
The number of cars that's needed.
I have a question.
Sure.
So during your community engagement, how much pushback did you get from the community as far as overloading the sewer system? Because I know your neighbor got ran through the gamut and traffic control.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because they told him he was already gonna mess up the whole neighborhood.
Yeah.
And that was already approved. So by adding this additional, and I could name 3 ladies that I'm sure who you heard from. How much
all of them-
pushback from the community
Yeah,
was that? on
Not
that
all
plan?
of them, not all of them showed up. The unnamed ones did not show up, but there was certainly concern about it.
Yes.
But the general tenor was that it can be dealt with, and was good representation from the city as well. So again, I think it's moving forward in a way that proves that the city is capable of doing this. And
Were you guys able to piggyback the traffic studies that have been done already?
No.
Or are you gonna have?
No, we haven't.
probably gonna have to do our own.
We'll do a separate one because that is, as you know, or I'm sure you've heard about it, but we have that development going on up at April's, and then we have the other one going on down below. So I think there's gonna have to be something where we work together as the 3 of us doing this. That we're gonna have to work together to create an opportunity that there's a different access point to, instead of just coming off of Sprague or coming off of Warren or, any of those.
Yeah, maybe a larger scope of that.
I
Yeah,
know 3 of those intersections are on the city's agendas for working on. I mean, Kirkwood is a big one and,
yeah,
I mean, I was just curious like that, because I went to several of the meetings
for
for
April.
April, so I didn't make it to your guys's, but I was curious how much pushback.
It wasn't as violent as I was afraid of.
Yeah,
It was there.
In fact, the people that are the strongest critics, actually, one of those people live right across the street from us.
I know.
And she actually came to ours, and by the time she left, she was thrilled about the idea. Again, it wasn't, those are 2 different things. And I think that one of the things that we did learn was how important that community engagement was. We wanted our neighbors to feel like they had some input.
Like a
And
connection.
yeah, and so we did not get a whole lot of, you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that. So we will just continue moving forward in that. And I'm hopeful, again, that with those other 2 developments that will be happening, that we can work that out together, the 3 of us, that will hopefully take that off the table for the folks. And I understand why they're, I understand, excuse me, I understand it. I also understand that he owns the property and he's within the scope to be able to do what he's trying to do. So,
No one enjoys change when you grew up in a small town.
oh, for sure.
That's a comment I made at several meetings is from a local standpoint, I might not like it either.
Yeah.
But from somebody that thinks bigger and is on the housing commission, sees the needs.
Yeah.
We have to find that medium ground that serves both purposes.
Yeah.
We do, and that was one of the reasons why we, when we were told, or actually shown how we could do 118 units, that'll make a lot of money, but that's not what we want. That is not the legacy of this family. We really want something that's going to be, as Ralph had said, enduring. And you can't do that when you have a lot of blocks, of walk-ups. And so we feel this was a really good way to find housing for folks. It won't be for, Dole County, but build some housing and a place that they'll like to live. That's really important. And again, creating the connection. So the next page, oh, I'm sorry.
We have a hand up.
Oh, sorry.
I just want to add that the outreach you guys did was so effective. And when you look at the outcomes of other projects versus the engagement that has happened on this one, I really view it as a gold standard for how to prevent contentious situations by involving the community sooner and making sure that they are really and actually heard. So I really want to applaud you guys for the amazing outreach effort you did.
Thank you, Parker.
Thanks, Parker.
Yeah, it was really good, and I would really recommend that for anyone moving forward, because they do want to feel heard. And when you give them that opportunity, you'd be surprised that they're not nearly as combative as it feels at first.
And you get some really good ideas.
You do, you do.
Really impressive.
Any other questions on the development itself?
I'm encouraged.
Thank you.
What is your hopeful target timeline? I'll put you on the spot.
Right now, it's difficult until we get the master plan completed and then we start doing the numbers and looking at all that. So it's, we would like to get, groundbreaking next year for sure. I can't give you an exact time frame at this point. We still need to find, who's going to be doing it and who's the developer and those sorts of things. So, we've been coming this far, one meeting at a time. So I appreciate your question.
Yeah, and to that point, Kristen, the next slide is, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a rough idea. I don't even think it's, space to code or anything at this point. But up where those, in the upper
Those
right
townhomes
corner, the cottage clusters. Again, I'm looking at this in phases, that I think this is a phase that could go in fairly quick.
Yeah,
And could solve a lot of problems really well. I hate the word leverage, but that's what I see it as, is it puts that fulcrum in a place where we could get people, growing families into good sized houses and get, aging individuals or people of a certain age, staying within their community and maybe even being closer. And, like this has a community garden in it, you could have these people out there, sharing some space and time together if they so choose.
Yeah.
It's the
And
best path to generate income, and you have to generate income to be able to continue.
Right.
this.
Go
to keep it going, yeah. And I think that this will be well received because we've heard that a number of times. We have friends that are aging and they want a safe place to be. They don't need a big yard anymore. They don't need, a lot of them are gardeners. I was a master gardener, so I know a lot of those folks. And they just want someplace, a nice home. And I think that this cottage cluster will be our first piece. Not 100% sure, of course, but that's what we'd like to see because that would make the impact quicker if we're able to have people sell their homes that are, 3, 4, 5 bedroom homes and they're in a smaller space. Yeah, and it would be a 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom with a loft, possibly, so that they had their grandkids or someone stay over, they'd have space. So yeah, we're excited about it. We like the cottage cluster a lot.
Are the cottage clusters on this
they're
map?
not, the four on the upper right.
It would be replacing those,
Replace that
see those 4?
Oh, okay.
So it would replace that,
in the northeast corner.
Northeast.
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So those are not townhomes.
Correct.
Well, they're townhomes, that's what we have on the master plan currently, but what we would really prefer to put there would be the cottage cluster.
So is it too preliminary? I forget now, the proposed cost or income levels of who would be living here. Would you try to, like some places, maybe have some more expensive homes, but it would all equal within what we would consider affordable?
Yeah.
Yes.
Upwards of 120%.
Right, the idea would be a stratification, so that we have, mixed incomes
Gotcha.
throughout, as well as mixed generations.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
you're welcome.
So, and that's the next slide is, any input, comments, questions, thoughts.
Yes, and most importantly, again, the Housing Commission has been wonderful and supportive of all of the questions and opportunities. We are now involved and engaged in a whole lot of things we never even knew about before meeting. We went to the Coal Path meeting on Monday. So we're investigating a lot, and one, it's fun, and 2, there's a lot to it. So we're trying to make sure that we find the best opportunities for Tillamook County and the Tri-County. Well, we're talking about the Tri-County area when we're talking to, and the Tri-County area would be Clatsop, Tillamook and Lincoln. So with a company potentially utilizing our warehouse, our manufacturing building, that's what we're discussing with them. And to utilize the 101 as opposed to being over in the valley and going up and down I-5. And there are folks that are building currently and they're considering a satellite at our facility. So that's what we're working on, that piece at the same time while we're doing these other things.
You guys definitely learned the housing lingo.
Whole new language.
We've been working at it for a while.
Make it till you make it.
Yeah, there you go. Any other questions?
So and again, follow up if you remember two things. Thank you. That's the key. You guys
Yeah,
did great.
we
That's
feel,
great.
we feel so grateful, you know, just in how this is all morphed and, we just keep going. And sometimes ask the question why, but we keep going. So thank you again for your support.
Well,
It's
thank
such
you.
It's such an unusual master plan. I came here from the Phoenix area where master plans are all one thing.
Yep.
And they're all single family homes, living
Or
pool,
apartment.
like everything is there. This pushes people out of the housing into the neighborhoods. It brings the community into the housing area. You've got industry going on there and a lot of different options. I like it. It's good.
Thank you,
Thank
President,
you.
for seeing the vision,
Yeah.
because that is what we want to do. And I think the legacy for the family would just be amazing. You know, again, they were stewards of this property for so long, for over 70 years. And, you know, for Ralph and I, we want to see that continue because we think it's good.
Yeah.
Just because we think it's good.
Just because.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you both coming and sharing the update. I'm glad you're on the path of getting this master plan done, because I know that was a huge step.
Yes, yes.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
And with that, since you guys both attended the Cold Pack Housing Summit, we're just gonna kind of have a quick debrief. Myself, Mark, Parker, Kristen, and Michelle, Dave McCall, Mayor of Bay City, or no, sorry, City Manager for Bay City, and
Also the mayor.
and their planner, which Dave
Madison.
Dave Madison, thank you. We're all in attendance. And so there was tons of, well, of course, Sarah, she showed up and did some great things. I'll let you go if you want to talk about your presentation with Parker.
Sure, I can do that, but yeah, go ahead, you guys talk. I'm curious what y'all thought.
Well, at the end of the day, I attended a seminar or a presentations about mass timber. And I know this commission had presentations in the past 3 or 4 years ago about mass timber and its production. And they were showing us at Port of Portland, these little tiny mass produced buildings, but with all of these tubing exposed on the electrical, everything was kind of out in place. And my biggest takeaway was that this mass timber is all just big, huge 60-foot panels that are like computer done and or hand cut out. And they're using them for exterior walls and roofs. And then they're actually going back to traditional wood framing on the interiors. So that way they can still work with you, trades and electrical, manufacturer contractors to still keep those, standard practices of electrician work. Because really what it sounded like, they are capable of putting electrical in those panels, but you really have to think ahead and you have to have a pretty brilliant engineer to get all of those chaseways to put into those panelized structures when you are originally planning and costing that building out. So it was, to me, I was like, okay, this is seamless, looking at the finished product. It'd be interesting to know how that would stand up in our fiscal weather, whether there's, long-term, it's gonna delaminate or what have you. But I was really enthralled on how many, just the fact that they said it's a really expensive product, but the way that they're working on it to minimize waste, they've kind of brought the cost down. And it's pretty environmentally sound and sustainable, and it actually looked really nice on the interior. So I was very impressed on how far that process has changed from when we originally had a conversation.
Yeah.
So we might, maybe have some of those come and present and give us a little update. I think that would be great in some future meeting. not, we have a lot on our plate now, but, or if the development committee or somebody would like to make a presentation, I think it would be very interesting to see where that portion of the industry is going.
We actually have a couple of companies that we're working with right now. We're visiting and they're mass timber. And the tall wood was the first one we saw, which was last year in November. We went to OSU and saw it, and it's amazing. It's there actually is I can get the link to you, but it's a video of what it looks like. It's two stories, 2 bathrooms or 2 bedrooms. I'm not sure who you saw because we had to leave early from Colpack, but it's fascinating. And again, we don't, we've been in he's been in the wood business his whole life so far. And so seeing what they're doing, and then we attended the Mass Timber Conference in Portland, the international one, in March. And it's mind blowing what they're doing. But again, bringing that here now, I don't know. I don't know. They're looking for satellite facilities as well, because they don't want to just, you can, if you do a flat pack out of Portland and you have to transport it, what's the difference if you make it in, Tillamook County and you go to Lincoln County and go to Clatsop? So those are the conversations that we're in currently about that.
That's awesome. And Kristen, do you have any?
I was only able to go to the morning portion of it, but I was sad to leave. I had to leave because it was really pretty good. And I could tell, right, even from the morning that Parker's participation was going to be really important. And what we're doing in Tillamook County is pretty good.
It's really good.
Yeah, and I think that was something that we just kind of walked away, I think all of us walked away with, is how far ahead of the game Tillamook County is in meeting the housing needs in the state. And we're kind of charging the way and creating the pathways. Because right now, state of Oregon's just now, I think I just got an email about them creating rules about the housing needs analysis at the state level. And I was like, okay, wait a second, we're on our second go around of our housing needs as a county. So it's pretty incredible in that. Mark, so what takeaways?
I went to, in the afternoon, the brownfields, which I know nothing about, other than they're generally considered these polluted areas that need cleaning up, as you probably know a lot about this through your experience.
I know about that, yeah.
But this was focused on Astoria, because I believe that they were using examples of like the Mervyn Apartments, 2 places built in the 20s, abandoned and one was like 30 years empty, and next to, maybe it was the Mervyn Apartments that was next to a area that had a lot of underground pollution and issues itself. So of course, they share underground areas. So the discussion was about how expensive that is and their application processes. I unfortunately used their initials, so I don't know what they mean. But a PPA agreement, I think limits your liability, the unit's liability. But there's a lot involved in how you apply that and how the DEQ leads you through the process to mitigate to a certain extent. And so there's a lot of new housing in very old buildings, some historical, because of these possibilities that the state has with funding. The Copeland Commons was mentioned, again, the 20s era, so lead, asbestos, a lot of mitigation. I can't remember, I'm assuming this was affordable housing, but given the scope, so that also put housing right downtown, which, is a great goal to, if you're living in a community and working there, perhaps you can just really walk to work. another company maker who we've given grants to, and they're involved with what I guess is considered a brownfield next to the Tillamook Adventist Hospital, is it? They spoke a bit about some of what they're going through, and they have what sounds like a very mild brownfield issue, which is leftover sawdust poured over decades and decades. And so that affects the structure, and they have to put particular, I guess, geotechnically engineered supports, and then methane is produced by the decomposition, so they have to make sure that can get out. So it was just, there was a lot of information, and again, access to monies, revolving loan funds were mentioned. So I was really glad I went, and I think there were good questions from the audience as well, and I learned a lot.
And there was also something, there was a finance one about creating your capital stack. And that one was just interesting. They were saying, oh, well, look at a housing project 10, 20 years ago. You basically had your basic investor and your bank. And that was pretty much it. And now they're saying for any sort of housing projects, even workforce level, you're having to stack 12 different investors or 12 different products together just to make a project to get it off the ground. So, I mean, knowing that our little piece of the housing solution fund, I mean, that's a part, that adds to that capital stack. So, and then they talked a lot about the Merle project and how I think we're gonna be the fourth county or
We're the first
county.
county and the only other city that's done it is Coos Bay. So we're number 2.
And how that is gonna be some pretty awesome last chance funding for the county. So, or for these kind of projects to get them over the line. So that was pretty engaging. And then at the end of the day, I believe Sarah, or I wasn't involved on that side. If you wanna, I just heard from the other side of the room, all these laughters and clapping.
Trying to be candid.
Yeah, you guys were very uplifting on that side of the room. So if you wanna comment, I think that was on community engagement.
Yeah, but since you were giving it,
What were your, before I did, what were your takeaways from what we said, what I said? What was there something that really resonated with you?
Since I know you, I was kind of aware of some of that.
You knew my, yeah.
So I couldn't,
Yeah.
separate myself from what people who hadn't talked to you at some length would. But I think it was very well received. It was enjoyable. And as Parker, he's not here anymore, said that, in a light moment that, I guess, employ federal, that one's entitled to one fun moment as like a federal employee or as an employee. And this session was that one because it was just very uplifting about what you can do and how you can reach out to people. And that there are, as the problems in outreach, and as Chris was mentioning about some meetings some of us have attended for like planning committees and things like that can get hairy.
So my purpose of being there, thank you, Mark, was to talk about community engagement strategies, right? What works, what doesn't work. I mean, especially being the CAC liaison since 2007, stepping into that role for the county, really, I would say, grown and learned in that function and learned from communities, definitely what works and what doesn't work. One of the things that I would offer to you, because I do agree your community outreach was stellar. It's a roller coaster. Keep your seatbelt fastened. Chris and I and Gail know when the city will send the letter to the neighbors that really starts talking about, okay, this is real. This is not just a nice idea anymore. You will have people that will react and respond differently.
Yep.
And you will learn things about your neighbors that you never knew. And some of those things you're probably not gonna appreciate. They're gonna, it might hurt your feelings might get hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
But just, you gotta hang on. Because it's, and it's not just one roller coaster, like, it's the public process.
Yeah.
It's the building process, it's the finance process, and if you think of the worst roller coaster, right? And you finally get to the finish line.
Yeah.
But, really it was just about things that have worked for us. And it's, don't assume when you walk into a meeting with a community, you know how they feel, you know what they need. Make sure you gotta listen. And it's multiple meetings, it's not just one.
Yep.
Right, because people need time to digest, and really the best thing to do is go in, explain something, listen, get feedback, and then it's a 2-year piecemeal process. So talking about middle housing in Senate Bill 406, Dave was in, a lot of those meetings with Nesco and heard about them. It took me a long time. You have to be patient. And so, and I think that's with everyone, no matter what your role is, either as a community member or developer, whomever, it's to just, you gotta stay with it and be patient and give everybody a ton of grace and you'll get there.
Yeah, that was really the takeaway, I think, patience and really, there's a term, intestinal fortitude. That you're going to be,
Tested.
tested.
You are gonna be tested.
And for good or bad, and don't assume people are gonna be negative, because I think that might be something.
Expect hope for the best.
Yeah.
It works all the way around, because even her and I, we've had good times, we've had not good times. It's a roller coaster, and everything can trigger a different emotion.
Right.
Yeah.
It's how you react to that emotion, and I'm not very good at it.
We're working on
Very
it.
loudly.
We're working on it.
But it is true. I mean, like I said, you're gonna have people that preliminary stuff.
Yep.
They're gonna say, oh, this is great. Like she said, when reality sets in that, hey, we're actually moving forward.
Yeah.
How dare you?
You'll have people 180 on you. You'll have people say, wait a second, now I'm gonna fight you.
Yeah.
I mean, when I bought the project in town, all the neighbors, oh, it's so great, you're gonna do it. I broke ground. The neighbor came over and said he's gonna burn the property down.
Oh, my
I'm like, sweet, I'm the right guy to play with. It's expect that what you think is gonna happen, sometimes it goes sideways, but as long as you're working towards your end goal, just take the beatings, go to fight when you have to fight, and then make it work out, so.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
And to Chris's point, it is very emotional. The other thing that I talked about is that facts do not matter. Facts do not matter. Data does not matter. Statistics do not matter. Sometimes codes don't matter, whether they're meeting them. Communities don't care,
Yeah.
right? Or if you don't want to meet one, right? And so you have to find space to work and to keep moving forward, understanding that you are dealing with emotion in every sense of that project and spectrum.
And that was another good, that was a little surprise to me that, that none of that really matters, even though it's, there's a reason it's all there. Codes, sewers, but with your project, for instance, you're approaching it, this is, the emotion, includes the emotional, and that, so I assume that's partly why it's working positively so far. It's probably when the master plan is done, and as the professionals say.
A little bit of dirt news.
Yeah, well, and we actually had, the folks that were there, they asked for, if they could come back, once we have the master plan done, and we intend to do that. To have them come back and then they get to see, this is what, based on the things that you told us, this is what we think is going to be the right development. And then again, it could get negative at that point. Why are you doing that many? I mean, but a lot of them, and again, there are gonna be people who are gonna show up that weren't at that first one that are going to be complaining and saying, this isn't good, it's not. And it's, again, Ralph and I have been at this for a while, and so yes, the emotion, we do this a lot. I appreciate though the feedback because we have to remind ourselves about that. And generally, because we are a couple, it's if he's down, I'm up, and we find a way to do it. If it was just each one of us on our own, I don't know that we could get there, but
It'd be a steamroller, not a roller.
yeah, I think but I completely agree with you. It is a roller coaster constantly.
Is there any takeaways that you guys had since you guys were both in attendance?
Oh, goodness.
So, yeah, we only got to do the morning session as well, but, probably the number one thing for me was I think Tillamook County was very well represented. So again, the Housing Commission, Parker, the articulation of where we are, I'm really, really impressed with the work that's been done here. Yeah, and I do think the other thing that stood out was the funding stack, is how complex. It's complex just to build things, but now to get somebody to finance and how many different directions you have to go. There's just so much work, and it's not just an art project, but the whole comprehensive, how do we do a better job of housing people? Mind-boggling, but I thought that was a great group and a great,
But even that, I'll tell you there's different aspects of that. For the people that do all the big housing or the finance stacks.
Yeah.
For every piece that you stack is somebody giving you their opinion and their expectations of the project.
yeah,
It's like my projects, I get asked all the time, are you gonna go after housing money? No. Well, why not? I don't like people telling me what to do. So I mean, that is one thing to keep in mind too. The more people that have a piece of the pie,
Yeah.
those opinions
matters.
matter because they'll say, I did this for you, you're going to do this.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, that's a scope that a lot of people don't always look at.
Yeah.
But like I said, I know for me, I don't want anybody's input because I'm not gonna listen anyway.
Always. Always.
I hope that the representative from the governor's office, I forget his name.
Nate Stives, Nate was there.
The red shoes.
Nate.
I hope that they listened carefully because it's clear that they want to do something for housing, but some of the things they're doing are not giving enough money.
Right.
Like the infrastructure bill, they put $1 million, that's like a joke.
Yeah, that's nothing.
Really a joke.
Yeah, so it did highlight the ideal and then the reality of budgets in 2025, 26. That instead of 100 million or, 10, that's, I think, adequate. I think acknowledge that it was just an initial and it got
Well,
whittled
he
down.
said that they wanted more proposals so they could pressure the legislature to add more
So
funding.
we all need to spend,
So we should get all the, this is to make their proposals, because. Yep.
Yeah.
It could push the funding up.
I think you're going to see more of that in the full session that's going to come. Yeah.
Yeah, for 30,000 housing units, how much, yeah, exactly. That's the expectation of the governor, she wants 30,000 housing units.
Wasn't it 300,000?
No, it was
That's
30 in like a year.
Yeah, in a short period of time, so.
But they have to take into account that a lot of the areas they want the growth doesn't have the infrastructure to support the growth.
Yeah.
that was
I
a
mean,
key.
Tillamook could grow exponentially, but we do not have the infrastructure in place. If you start going to bordering towns,
Right.
that infrastructure doesn't get better.
Right.
So, I mean,
Except for Bay City.
Yeah.
even there.
Yeah.
People argue, people don't understand. Okay, well, we have ground, we can't go out, why don't we go up? well, small towns like ours, people don't understand, the number one thing that kills up is we're volunteer fire department.
Yeah.
If you don't have a certain full-time amount, you can't do high-rise training. If you can't do high-rise training, you can't go above 35 feet.
That's why all of our height limits are there.
So I mean, then that's what people, well, that's dumb. Well, okay, but we don't have the funding capability to have a full-time fire district. So.
Yeah.
And like I said, you go all along the Oregon coast, it's all small communities. And no one has that funding. Seaside doesn't have that funding. I mean, so that automatically puts a very big cap on any growth capability, so.
Especially, yeah, going up, yeah. Because we did ask about going on a third story and, yeah, we can't do that, which is fine. I'm fine with that, but, that conversation was had and okay with it because it doesn't fit into our community at this point.
I designed one years ago that was 18 stories and it had $2.3 million figured into the budget to give the fire department, to put the personnel on staff. But that's the only way in the future we will ever be able to exceed where we're at now.
Yeah.
Is developers understanding they have to give back into the pot to be able to have the personnel to do it.
Yeah.
And just to, and another takeaway that I had is I met with, or had a quick conversation with the lobbyist with the League of Oregon Cities. So I'm hoping that, with that and maybe the representative from the AOC, might be able to meet up in a future legislative session to have a conversation about how we could be impacting legislation going forward and what sort of planning thoughts we can have as a legislative group. Knowing that we're under our constraints of the Housing Commission being associated with a government body. On how we can make an impact in the legislative sessions going forward. And stay in our lane as well.
Well, I think that's a really valid point. And I don't remember who said it earlier, but, Tillamook County is ahead of the curve at this moment in time. And I think that that's something to be very proud of, and to keep pushing, right? And so what, Chris is talking about is the chicken and the egg, what comes first, right? And so if and none of us want to have big cities. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for the rural type of living. And so how do we meet that, right? So if somebody, wants to do a multi-story, they're going to have to try to figure that out. But I think that Tillamook County has a real track to be in the middle of whatever the legislation and have these conversations, because I think that there are big things happening here and we're used to them now, right? Because this has been going on for some time, but things are really starting to happen. And I think our representatives should participate in this too. So that they are aware of how much people are trying to bring things to fruition and getting that level of support.
So hopefully that will be a semi-legislative committee update there, but we're hopefully just gonna plug that and hopefully try to get involved in that aspect. Sarah, please.
I talk to Brandon Persinger every week because I sit on the advisory, so he's the AOC person, staffer that would work with us and works with Commissioner Scar. So I'm always on his legislative team for updates. So when you're ready, I'll do the introduction.
That would be great. That would be awesome. So it would be nice to have city representatives on our legislative.
We can even invite him to come and talk to all of you if you'd like. Because there is a real challenge between the vision that cities have and the vision that counties have in a lot of areas. I will tell you, there are a lot of counties and people in my position that have a different opinion about the work that we are doing. So I'm getting ready to go talk to several county planning directors, and one of the biggest philosophies is we say no so cities can say yes. And they really take that to heart. And so.
What does that mean?
It means that there is an intentional effort to keep development really restricted outside of cities and UGBs. Because and I would say even in Oregon's land use system now, we are at a philosophical crossroads. And you're seeing it pop up in many, many, many different ways. And so, that is something that my colleagues and I are having that conversation as well, and we do not all agree. I would say I'm probably one of the minorities in that circle of people. But to your point, AOC commissioners across the state and our legislators, really the expectation of how things should happen needs to come to my colleagues from legislation, from county, elected officials, our commissioners, our legislators, because you are not going to see other counties progress like Tillamook unless there is a willingness within that county and people are willing to make it happen. That's all of you, that's me, that's Parker, that's our commissioners. And I think we need to keep beating that drum and sharing our story, because eventually others will start following our lead.
An easy comparison for you is here rezoning land is like an act of God. I don't use farm ground as an example. We can't rezone farm ground. Well, somebody should tell that to Beaverton and Hillsborough, because that was all farm ground.
That's right. Oh, and there's a double standard. You are absolutely right.
100%.
And that was brought up by our own Michelle.
Yep.
And there was conversation at Colpack about, she was using Tillamook County and the reduction of actual owners of farms from, she was remembering way back 200, and now it's 50. And I believe it was, and she was discussing with, I forget, maybe a lobbyist at a different table about rezoning, and it's not about family farms. It's about large corporatized farming entities owning large bits of, in this case, a lot of Tillamook. And could that be even raised in this discussion to maybe break off, for example, a big part of a farm alone, but where the farmhouse is, take 10 acres or some acreage.
Or 12th Street.
Yeah.
Well, but I have a gentleman right now, I got a call last week. His family has been in the dairy industry in Tillamook County. Not anymore. They were in the dairy industry for over 100 years in Tillamook County. He wants to replace his house. He's off farm, but was told that he lives too close to a farm to replace the house. Hence the OSHA thing that everybody knows how I feel about. He's like, Chris, what do I do? I go, sweet, call it a remodel, leave one wall. When you're done with that, do a remodel, get rid of that wall. I'm like, there's loopholes, but for a guy that house, I think it was built in the 50s, been there forever. It's right across the street from where the family farm was at, that's owned by another dairy farmer now. And he goes, I don't know what to do. He goes, I'm ready to beat my head against the wall. I'm like, dude, I spend over 10 hours a week in community development. I know that feeling. But there way to that, but it's true. It's for the average person, some of these new regulations and rules, they go, I don't know what to do. I said, well, that's when you call guys like me, because I do, and then I'll take the headache. But like I said, situations like that one, I haven't even had a conversation yet, because I'm still trying to process how to do a workaround for that situation. But there is getting more and more restrictions that are being placed, not even by our local entities, that even they don't agree with. And I know Michelle was here, Michelle tell you the same thing, 500-foot rule for a farm in a farming community, gonna make things really hard when we already have a housing crisis.
Yep.
So, I mean, there's
they're coming from areas like OSHA. They're not coming from the places you would think they
Yeah.
would come from.
Right. And OSHA doesn't have any business getting into the housing market and development standards.
And it's very educational to learn that, as Michelle was saying, you're not gonna get equity by, out of a house, a farmhouse, on a big piece of land, because you can't sell it as a house. There's a limited market for what,
And the problem is
900
that
acres?
that regulation was put into place
right,
because of orchards. They did that because of using the pesticides and the sprays but they didn't single that out in the language. They just said ag industry.
right.
So now each branch of the ag industry is being held to the same standard. We're not spraying 10,000 gallons of pesticides a year. But in government language, that doesn't always get defined how it should. So now it's how do we do the backlash? How will there be back lawsuits to try to stop and or change that regulation, specify in the regulation where their meaning is meant to place it? But that'll fall on, unfortunately, the pocketbook of the clients wanting to do the work. So.
Well, I think that was kind of a great wrap up of our experiences, and I think we have all some great takeaways, hopefully you guys. And I'm sure there's gonna be another one of these summits in the future, so I would definitely encourage, or maybe we'll shift out the people that'll be able to attend, so we can do that. Fine, Dave, I'm gonna move on to the finance committee. Do you have an update for us?
Nothing more to add, no.
Great. I'm not gonna add much here on the legislative committee, but there was something that was brought up on the FEMA buy-up opinion. And I wanted to take this opportunity to pool the housing commissioners on whether, I believe Parker had made testimony.
He did, yeah.
And if we would like, as a housing commission, to draft a letter, or ask Parker to share his draft letter. And I believe it was, I would think it would be focused on the impacts of housing in Tillamook County, and because that right now, how it's drafted would have a severe impact. And I don't know, Sarah, if you want to give us like a 5-minute little small synopsis of the impacts.
So the biggest conversation about the buy-up in relation to housing around the state, there's a couple of pieces. The first one is that state law requires clear and objective standards for housing, right? And we went through a bunch of that with the middle housing code updates. There's more coming. FEMA has tried to create mitigation ratios that, in their opinion, are clear and objective. And we would disagree, because for a lot of them to meet the mitigation ratio requirements, you would have to acquire property elsewhere. Then get a permit to complete the mitigation on a different property. So you've got uncertainty because you may not know where you're going to acquire a piece of property. You don't know if you can meet the mitigation requirements. And then there's the increased cost to that. We can give you some numbers on my slides, Carrie, and I can redirect this to Parker. The presentation I made to the board, there are quantification of increased costs for housing in that presentation, and it's upwards of 20%. And that's not even when we get into the flood insurance conversation, that's just cost to do the work. So clear and objective standards, increased costs. This will also severely cripple ability to work or expand urban growth areas, which essentially, going back to the restrictions of Oregon's land use program, that's where the state wants to encourage housing development. So if our UGBs become constrained because of these rules, and think about it, if you have a 4,000 square foot or 5,000 square foot lot, you don't have room to build and mitigate. You're not gonna have room to build and mitigate. There's some pretty spectacular mitigation examples on those slides that are eye-opening. The third piece to that, so we've got clear and objective standards, we've got increased costs and UGBs. And then what people aren't thinking about that really will impact housing development is it's not just about the property where the development is supposed to occur. It's actually not relevant if the property is inside or outside these mapped areas of special flood hazard. I want you to think about roads you drive on every day. You are always crossing a floodplain. Can you think of one road you drive across in the course of your day that is wholly and entirely outside of a mapped area of special flood hazard? For us, the answer is no. So how do you bring the required infrastructure to that lot that is outside of a mapped area of special flood hazard for your housing development? If you know you run the string from point A to point B, if you can't get the infrastructure there, you're not building. If the cost is too high to put in the infrastructure, you're not building. You cannot make it pencil out. So those are the pieces that I think from your purview are really those areas of critical feedback. Our recommendation has been to ask FEMA to select alternative 1. And what that alternative 1 means is there is no change to existing floodplain development regulations. What we have also been encouraging FEMA to do is to continue to explore other ways. Please work with us to look on how we can improve water quality, fish habitat. We all agree that's really important. We all want that. Tillamook County, again, like housing, is a front runner and has done some incredible work for water quality and fish recovery. The Southern Flow Corridor is one of our latest and greatest examples. So that's what I would offer. Alternative number 1.
Okay. So is there, anybody, or I think at this point, I'd like to just kind of see a raise of hands if people are in support of drafting the letter. Because we will have to get this by
Next Tuesday.
next
I can work
Tuesday.
with Parker.
So I would like to just get the commission's go ahead.
There's time for us to see it, review it.
I
I
would,
don't like just blanking, saying, oh yeah, use that. When you see housing commission used a lot in the Headlight Herald,
yeah,
and I don't know anything about the conversation, I tend to say housing coordinator should have been commented there, not housing commission.
what I would like, I think that what we would do is if we get a raise hand to make the effort and then have it via email.
We could
Review.
probably get it to you by Monday mid-afternoon if everybody watches. And so we just got to get it there by the 6th.
Is it going to the state?
It's going directly to FEMA.
It'll be to the feds.
And we can upload it. We can do all that. If you feel compelled to write your own personal comments, if you go to the community development homepage, the blue tabs, there's FEMA buyout tab, and I actually have a link to take you directly to the public comment portal. It is really important that we submit comments during this phase with that alternative number 1 is the recommended
So
approach.
what I'm hearing is that Parker and Sarah will draft an email, a letter and send it by email. And then we will, if you'd like to say aye or nay, I mean, we are going to be conducting business via email, but if you would like to, I think if he receives it, can we
Yeah,
do
I think-
a letter?
I think what we would do is we would send, if the commission is comfortable with us sending it out to you, we will send you a draft. If you have any concerns about it, please call us or email us back Monday afternoon, but we will work on keeping it strictly housing focused.
And in the past, we've said, like,
Carrie, sign it.
sign it,
Yeah.
so we don't all have to, because this is taken.
And I would prefer that, especially because I know Parker has put in his own comments. I am put in my own, so I think.
I would be happy to sign it on behalf, but I would like to have every commissioner.
Just let us know
Review
you
it.
looked at it.
Yeah.
if you have any questions or concerns.
Yeah, because I want everybody to be, at least have the opportunity to review it.
But I think the action today would be to direct us to review that letter for you to sign.
So is there, I will make that motion. Will somebody second?
Second.
All those in favor and those online commissioners, if you could raise your hand. A thumbs up.
Gail is nodding, yeah.
All right. Looks like we have full support.
Okay.
So,
I will
Christie,
visit with him about that this afternoon.
thank you. And I'm gonna just go leave it there on the legislative committee. Kristen, are you our outreach representative today?
No.
No.
We are. There's a lot going on in October, as Parker said, so we're working for publications to talk about the grant cycle being opened on the 15th, as Parker said, Merle, CERTA, but a lot of this depends on when it's formalized. So we don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but for sure, the grant cycle thing, October 15, we want to get that out into the media and publicize it. We talked about that.
We did send it out.
And was it actually?
I didn't see it in the headline.
I did review that and it did go out.
It did,
It
okay.
did go out, yeah.
So we're on top of it. Remember if we talked much beyond Merle, CERTA? I mean, that was a lot to talk about. For other things.
I do have an update for the commission that I think especially speaks to the outreach committee. I am holding interviews for that office admin staff position this week and next week. And the interview questions will be very social media communication heavy. Because I really feel like that's one of the commissioners' needs is to have support, especially for this committee. So just want to let you know that we've got some fantastic, we had an excellent recruitment turnout. So I'm very excited.
And
So
and this is
more help coming.
Yeah. Parker's very busy with everything, and not all of us on the outreach committee are as skilled.
Yeah.
PR as
No,
others.
we can do it, but we don't, we're gonna allow.
And because of the county thing.
That's right.
So the,
Yeah.
It will streamline what
Yes.
the process.
So yes, so so this committee especially is in the back of my mind as we start moving through these interview processes. Get you guys some help.
And next we have the development committee. We have a member of the development committee. Chris?
I know what I'm saying, still looking for a head of it. If you'd like to join it, you volunteer to be the head of it, but I don't have time to. Other than that, he's busy. He already told us last month he's trying to work through a bunch of stuff. I know he wants to get the development committee back rolling. I don't even know how many members are left on it, so.
Well, and I have an update for that committee as well. So we are waiting to hear back from DLCD confirmation of our grant to move into the second phase of 406, which will really be the focus of the development committee for those housing production strategies and different things. And so we will probably have a kickoff meeting to start that work in January. So one of the things Parker and I have talked about in terms of the development committee is timing this work, getting CERTA up and running, getting Merle up and running, getting the Housing Production Solutions Fund going, because the development committee is going to come back into the in full force at the beginning of this year. I will need that committee to help me do my work. So if you want to be on that committee with Chris, he's fun to work with.
I am entertaining.
And I should have mentioned, I'll be talking, I'm scheduled to talk about rural HPSF with the three northern city councils, Wheeler, Nehalem, and Manzanita in October. So I'm going to do my homework, so I know the acronyms mean and can explain or
Let
refer
us know if you need.
to Parker, because the local communities need to know what's available.
Great. If you want, could you share those dates with the?
Sure,
so that they-
I will. Nehalem is a little, we're not completely certain because they have a big agenda and I'm not sure if it rise to it there, but Wheeler and Mansfield definitely, and I can shoot everyone an email.
That'd be great. All right, well, looks like we're gonna wrap up a little bit early this day. Is there anybody here that would like to offer any public comment or feedback today?
You guys did a fantastic job.
Thank you.
I second that.
All right.
Shall we vote?
All right, thank you, everybody. Our next meeting will be November 6th. And Mark will be taking my position temporarily because I will be working with some auditors in my office. So he will be running the meeting that month. So
Good luck.
see you in December.
That sounds like fun for you.